As President of VASSP, I'm really pleased to be able to introduce this series of videos where our members have presented what they believe is happening in their schools in a really positive sort of way and the sorts of things that are making a difference in government school education. I really recommend that you view these, possibly use these with your staff to talk about what you're doing in your schools and how you're going to go about continuing to improve what is happening in your school.
I'm Dr. Peter Hart, Managing Director of Insight SRC and Adjunct Professor at Deakin University. In terms of your question around what do great schools do, I think there's a range of things that they do, but certainly one of the key areas that they focus on is sort of building the shared leadership and culture within the school that really builds a very innovative and creative learning environment for staff, and ultimately that impacts upon what it is that happens in classrooms, the schoolyard, and ultimately students' experience of their time at the school. There's four different areas that really great schools do very well when they're trying to create those types of environments. One area is what we call empathy, which is really about building a shared understanding of each other, where there's a mutual respect and trust among staff, where there's good communication, and people really feel valued and understood by their colleagues and leaders. The second key thing they do is actually build a strong sense of purpose, so that everybody in the school has an understanding of expectations, of what they're trying to achieve, and are all working towards that end. The third thing that they do is build what we call an engaged work team or workforce, and that's really around the teamwork, where everybody realises they're there for the success of everybody else, and that's the way they go about their day-to-day work, and do so in a way where they feel that they have some agency or say over their work, where they're building a shared ownership of what they're trying to achieve in the school and the way they go about that. And then that ultimately ties into the fourth area, which is a culture where it's a very strong sort of learning environment where people are debating and challenging and pushing things around with one another, and it's not just about criticism and focusing on things that are wrong, but really challenging the status quo and finding new and novel ways to do things which actually build better connections to the children. Ultimately what that does, it actually builds what we call the morale of staff, which is really the passion, the pride, the energy and the enthusiasm that staff have, and that's what's actually infectious to students and engages students in a whole range of ways, in terms of the way they work in classrooms, the way students relate to one another, and also students' own emotional well-being, and we do know that that's the key thing that underpins their engagement in learning and ultimately the outcomes for schools. And one of the key interesting things about that type of approach is that the Victorian government school system has been really focused on developing that type of culture for more than 20 years now. And one of the key things the data shows us is that the quality of Victorian government schools outperforms most other organisations in the country in the corporate and government sector.